All right. Hey, welcome to On This Hill, podcast of Church on the Hill. And it's the middle of July here in Oregon. The weather's been hot, but it's summer.
Yes.
And we're happy about that, right?
Oh yeah, that's the best time of the year.
I know. Yeah, I'm sorry for all you Oregonians that just love the rain, but
Yeah.
we love the summer.
I hope it goes into December this way.
I know. It wouldn't bother me a bit, but
We'll have Christmas. Like
people would be
Brazilian
freaking
Christmas.
out though. People would
Yeah,
just not
our
know what to
Christmas
do.
in Brazil, it's about 110 degrees. It's kind of fun. Yeah. Never understood Christmas movie.
Yeah, White
Because,
Christmas has no
yeah,
meaning in
there's
Brazil.
no meaning. White Christmas, like, guys, we're melting down here, and those guys are having hot chocolate.
Yeah.
How do you have hot chocolate at Christmas Eve?
Yeah,
So it
skiing.
never works.
That's funny. Hey, so our guest this morning with me is Pastor Daniel De Silva. Not a stranger to most people, but if you're watching maybe from outside Church on the Hill somewhere, and Daniel's he's our campus pastor at our South Campus, Church on the Hill. We're a multi-site, one church in two locations. We have a campus out south and a campus out north. And but Daniel and his wife Daniele serve on our staff and do a lot of you guys are involved in a lot of different things, but a blessing to us. But Daniel's from Brazil.
Yes.
And I'm not sure how many of our listeners or people watching, if you've been to Brazil. I have. And that's a wonderful, huge, diverse, beautiful, crazy sort of. What's Brazil famous for?
Brazil is famous for soccer.
Soccer.
Football. Not soccer, football. Not American football. The soccer one. The one that the round the balls.
Right.
22 players and the referee running for sometimes a tie game of 0-0.
Yeah.
No one scored.
That's hard for Americans,
Yeah.
right? To understand a game you play for 90 minutes and it ends up 0-0.
No
one
one
scores.
Yes. And then this 50, 60,000 people shouting, celebrating, and go home after.
Yeah.
Not
And
see a
Brazil's
score.
famous because they've won how many World Cups? How many?
Won 5.
World
There
champ
was
5.
5 times. I think we're the only ones who has 5 times.
Yeah. What do you think when you come up to the States? We'll get to how you got here in a minute, but I'm on the football thing, and Americans talk about their Super Bowl or
Yeah. It's a big thing for Americans.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't know if they don't know the rest of the world. Like, we start liking now.
This is a world championship.
Yeah.
Actually, you're the only ones who play it.
Do you know the most funny is the World Championship of Baseball?
Yeah.
Yeah, where there's 4 teams from U.S. playing. Yeah, that's. I remember like we were watching the World Series. It's like who's coming to play? Yeah, it's the Cubs.
It's all American
the
teams.
American team. Yeah, that was the fun part in the baseball. Yeah, but soccer is a big thing, and
Soccer is a big thing.
In 2 years, the
International
World
game.
Cup here in the U.S.
Yeah, in the U.S. We're going to host it with Canada and Mexico. It should be interesting. 3 different countries. That's the first time. I think that's
they
ever
did
happened.
2, South Korea and Japan in 2002.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This will be spread out a little
It'll be
bit,
fun, yeah.
but that's a fun thing.
I wonder
We
how
maybe you may not know, but my wife and I and our 2 boys, our boys grew up in Mexico, so soccer again in Mexico is a big thing. They can never get a good team, but everybody plays it, and we loved watching it. And when the World Cup comes around, or the Euro Cup right now is being played, the Copa Americana, the American Cup, and so
Everything stops.
yeah.
Brazil in the World Cup, every Brazil game
Yeah.
is a public holiday.
Right.
No business open, banks, and even the hospital the ER gets like empty. No one
comes in.
Yeah, no one comes in. You come after the game, but not before the game.
That's funny. So, born in Brazil, how old?
Yeah.
But you're in the States right now, working as a pastor.
Yeah.
This isn't your first international assignment.
Yeah.
What have you guys done? I mean, you guys have been missionaries for how many years?
So Danielle and I, in different times, we went to YWAM, Youth with the Mission, when we were 19. So Danielle went 1995, and I went 1998. So we're 3 years apart, the age. But so we joined the YWAM, then we met there. In 1999, we got married.
1999.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
25 years.
25 years this year. Yeah.
Nice.
We just turned 25. So we spent the first 5 years married in Brazil at the YWAM, serving the local church, training missionaries in the schools, the DTS. And then we went to New Zealand to learn English. YWAM had a school in New Zealand. Then it was easier to go through YWAM than to go just to do an exchange. But so we served and learned English in New Zealand for a year. And then we did a school in that period in the Philippines, a 5-month school that for training you to work with families called Family Ministry School.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And then we spent 6 months in the Philippines. And then we went back to New Zealand, spent another 6 months again, being a staff on the same school.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went back to Brazil in 2006. So we spent 2006 and 8 until 2008 in Brazil. And then end of 2008, we moved to South Africa. And we were there for 5 years, serving at the YWAM. I was mobilizing pastors in Brazil, bring them to Mozambique that speaks our Portuguese.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of pastors training and most of it was a pastor training. One of the reasons, like I remember being in the church in Mozambique, and we brought Bibles, and then I asked the pastor who in the church doesn't have a Bible. So we found out he was the only one in the church who has a Bible. So his elders and deacons and like the leadership didn't have. So we gave it to them in Portuguese Bible, and we start going there to train. Not train, but just to share the resource with the pastors. And we did this for 5 years. We did other ministry with feeding kids. We had raised money in Brazil with different church. We had about 1,000 kids getting food every day. Kids who will be like 1 or 2 days without food. So it was amazing. It was amazing 5 years.
Wow. So, Brazil is when we were in Brazil, we were working during the other thing Brazil is famous for is Carnival.
Oh, it's the Carnival,
what is Carnival? Maybe some people don't know. What is Carnival?
So when I moved here 10 years ago, we moved to Salem. And someone invited me and my family to go to the Carnival. And I say, no, thank you. Because the Carnival I knew is the one that happened in Brazil, where most of the people are not wearing clothes, and it's supposed to be a beautiful parade.
Cultural.
They do a theme. They honor, but it is like it starts on Thursday, and go until the Wednesday.
The week before Ash Wednesday.
Before
you start the season of Lent. So it's this giant
crazy thing that people go wild drinking and do everything, and then Wednesday they all go to church, confess their sins to the priest, and go on the 40 days of Lent, not eating red meat or trying to compensate what they did
the week before.
So it's
even the word Carnival has its roots.
It is the flesh. The party of the flesh.
Party of the flesh.
So it's different from rides and
it's not the kiddie rides, the elephant rides,
the turkey leg and all these things.
But it was crazy when we were there. I think it was I think it was 88 or 87. That was a long time ago, but we had a team it was an acting team, a drama and music team, and we would do street presentations in bus stations or train stations out in plazas, and we would just see hundreds of people come to the Lord. It was just this incredible, for us as Americans, most of the team were Americans. There was a few Canadians and a couple other, I think there was a couple Europeans, but to go to a country where people were so responsive to the gospel was just shocking.
Yeah, we did this in our time when we were in Brazil. We did few carnivals where we did the same thing you say. We would stay in the place doing dramas, and every time we play a song, and then we would have someone sharing the gospel and people coming. People go to those places to find something.
Right.
And they never expect that God will be there to meet them.
It's like their territory.
And then like when they show up with God, and then I remember there's many people who grew up in church, and you find them there trying to live their wild life, and then suddenly you're sharing the gospel with them, and they it's almost like, remember David said, where do I can hide for your presence? And then people's like, God will never come here.
Yeah, if I go to the depths of the earth,
and then
gonna find
suddenly
me.
God finds them there, 3 a.m. The person is like, yeah, my night was terrible. And then suddenly you sit next to a person, start sharing the gospel. And then there's no way to resist.
Yeah.
A love that finds you 3 a.m.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were you've been in missions, and you've been in the States 10 years.
10
You've been
years.
working here at Church on the Hill
For 6 years.
6 years,
full
and
time.
before that, there's a YWAM base here down
Yeah.
the road from our church and so forth. But so a total of how many years in missions?
So 26 years.
26 years.
I am 26, Daniel 29.
So yeah, more than half your life.
More than half of
you've
my
been-
life.
You guys
yeah.
have been involved in missions,
Yeah.
and your 2 children as well, or 2 kids. They're
Yeah,
almost
my
grown
daughter
now.
is 22 and my son's 14.
Yeah. What was that like? Moving them to different countries, them being exposed to different cultures. Was that an adjustment thing? Did they adjust well? Did they like it?
So we have 2 kids, the two different kids. Julia, the oldest, she was born in this crazy move of born in Brazil, stayed there for 3.5 years, went to New Zealand, stayed a year, went to the Philippines 6 months, went back to New Zealand for 6 months.
Home was her sleeping bag.
We always joke, home is where the 3 of us are together. That's our home.
Yeah.
And then Brazil again, and then I think the longest is that she has been in one place is here. But actually, she did when she went to college. She went to Arizona.
Yeah,
because it's this itching inside. Like
I'm going to be moving.
I'm moving again. I'm done here. And then our son, he was born in South Africa, and then when he was 4, he moved here, and he's not the changing person. You know, I remember as a kid, he noticed if you move the couch, he walks in and say, "Why did the couch you moved it this way?" So moving is not his best thing, but it creates on them also a different perspective of the world and the perspective of relate with people, because is the conversation in my living room with being around missionaries. They grew up hearing about mercy and kindness and working like
Reaching out.
and like, oh, we are putting money together here to buy food for this family that we just found out. So it changed it. You don't grow up.
Yeah.
Just grow up. Like
It's a
thinking
different
about,
existence.
It's a different existence. It's. I remember my daughter one day. We're in the Philippines walking, and she stops, and putting my hand down, and I say, "What?" She say, she looked to a homeless guy, and she's like pointing. It's like, and I say, "What?" She say, "You're not doing anything." I say, "Yeah. What can we do?" She say, "You told we are missionaries, and there's one person to help here. Give me money," she said. And so it changed until today. It's like the need and everything. So it's a different perspective on your kids. The human side of them, it's a very touched with kindness, compassion, and it is amazing. Yeah.
So you left your home, Brazil, with your wife and your kids. You go to New Zealand, then you go to the Philippines, then you go to South Africa, all really different places, very diverse places, beautiful in their own way. Then you come to America. What kind of adjustments did you have to make? Because I think when we think about going to some place like the Philippines, we just know, oh, I'm going someplace that's needier than I am, that's poorer than my nation, and so you sort of are prepared. But coming to the U.S., because you're in the U.S. as a missionary, you and your wife have come from another country, a foreign country, to the U.S., and that's the reverse. Typically, in the U.S., we're trying to send missionaries, but Brazil sends missionaries all over the world. But coming to the U.S., what were some of those adjustments?
The perspective of, we always think about a third world country needs missionary. And I understand it. There's the compassion side. There's the mercy side of missions. I'm going to go there. We want to build the house. We want to build, and all these places needs physical also.
Right.
And I think reversing, and then you use the physical idea, like I will build a house, but I'm going to share the gospel. We're like when we're feeding the kids, we're doing like a VBS.
Yeah.
You're doing any physical work you
Yeah.
do to reach
Practical hands,
practical
obvious
hand.
needs.
Yeah, to say, you know what, that Jesus loves you. Coming over here, you don't have this,
Yeah.
and it become harder to reach with the gospel, because then the mentality is, I don't need God.
I don't need anything. I'm
I
good.
don't need anything. I remember one guy years ago, we were downtown, we were trying to speak about Jesus to people on the street. And then I remember this guy say, look at me. Do I look like I need Jesus? It's like, if I need Jesus, I will find him, he said. So I think the true perspective of, yes, mission has the compassion, the mercy, the physical, but missions is also, the aim is the gospel, is the soul. And then you have to readjust everything as well, because it's now you have to find the way to share the gospel, and not using the kind of the tools that you can use in the third world country.
Yeah.
Because you it's much easier to. We were even talk early about the idea of, you go to a third world country, you build a house, and then you bring food, and you bring clothes, and then you share the gospel, and then it's like now, and I'm not saying this in the wrong way, but now it's like, man, you did all this thing, and all you ask me is to raise my hand and say, yes, I accept Jesus.
Yeah.
So if there's no discipleship, it can be a very danger. Just like, oh yeah, another 100 people, because it's in our culture, the third world culture, we have this thing of like, you're a guest speaker, you're an honor here. So
and hospitality is
the
a
hospitality
big deal.
is a big thing. So I give you the chair I sit, I give you my plate. If there's only one piece of chicken and you are the visitor, you eat the
You get
chicken.
the chicken.
I clean the seat for you. So
if you ask me to raise my hand, the least I'm going to do is raise my hand, whether I agree with what you're saying or not.
Yeah, you fed me. You gave me. You just give me the. So then the discipleship is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
But here it's a different. Like you don't need to go to $1 million house and say, hey, I came here to paint your house and can I share you the gospel? But the need of the gospel is probably the same.
Yeah.
You
Brazil's a big country. How many? What's the population of Brazil?
I think we are over 200 million people.
Yeah. So maybe not quite as big population-wise and area-wise, but close.
Yeah.
And Brazil is famous for all kinds of natural wonders, the Amazon River and jungle and beautiful beaches, Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of beauty, but it's also it's kind of a complicated politics too, right? I mean, as a foreigner, you're here I just use that word because you're not from here, but you blend right in.
They call the foreigners
You're one
aliens.
of us, aliens. Yeah. You're a legal
alien. Yeah, that's the good thing.
You're from Mars.
Yeah, when the Supreme Court was talking about recognized aliens, I was like, I am one recognized one. I'm a legal alien, yeah.
But coming here in an election year, so coming up in a few months, we have an election.
Yeah.
And what does that look like from the outside, from your worldview?
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because being down in Latin America, it's so funny to listen to the questions they ask me as an American about our politics, because they don't. It's just a different world. They don't totally understand.
Yeah, it's fun. My family, when we talk, they like, who do you guys think is gonna win? Who's going to be? Our culture is, first, we are very like much in the time of the election, just all the way to the election is over. And it's over, okay, now we will see you guys in 4 years again. And it is not so, I think lately it was this, but I remember growing up, seeing my uncles, my dad, they're all talking about politician. And I remember like in the conversation, each one will vote for a different person. And we were like, it was so respectful. It was so fun, and like I can't believe you're doing this. But it's like, it was not like, almost like here, I feel almost like a religion. If I love God or defend God the same way I fight the political thing,
Yeah.
that would be awesome. That would be like, man, if you're
With that kind of passion.
if you have this passion for God, and we have the instruction of it, culturally, we are the difference I see in American, like, we're a colonized country.
Yeah. Totally different origins.
Origin.
Yeah.
So like the biggest holiday here is the 4th of July to remind us we're independent from anyone. No one would tell us what to do.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Right.
We're free from
tyranny
from oppression.
and oppression. Yeah.
We're like our independence was like, okay, we took all we need, and okay, it's a father and son, almost like, hey, fight a little bit to look like you guys fought for the independence, and then we're good. And then, but then it came to the
And you're referring to the Portuguese. The
Portuguese who
Portugal
colonized us.
and conquered and occupied
and then
Brazil
it came,
for centuries.
Then it came then it's like the rich and the poor, then the white and the black, and always have this tension of being colonized.
The races and the classes.
The races, and then it's like, and it's almost like, that what can we do? Almost like this, like even like in our election, we knew the last president that we had, and the one that was found guilty of corruption. The Supreme Court cleared his name. He could run for president again, and then he won the election. Now he's the president. We have a president who's being charged by corruption.
Yeah.
And everybody who gave him money is in jail, except him who received the money, and he's running. And then it's like, what can we do? That's almost the sense. We try. Our election, it's popular vote, so he got more, and that's over. Now, in 4 years, we try another way.
Yeah.
So we are very acceptable to around where I'm here. Like, I love here, like, oh, I'm a taxpayer. I can say, like, in Brazil, it's like, you can't say anything anymore.
You don't have to say,
You can say in 4 years, almost like that.
Yeah. Again, my wife and I lived in Latin America for a good 10 years, 10, 12 years. And I know in our country we have the left and the right, liberal and conservative, however you want. But in Brazil, that's a socialism is a very almost accepted or admired form of government.
Yeah.
And what's that look like? If someone says, "Hey, was that a great thing to live under socialism? Is that a great system?" Or or Americans here that think, if we just had more socialism, we'd be a better country. What do you say as someone who's lived in actual a socialist country?
I wish I had enough money to take those people and say, let's have a tour.
A field trip.
I would take you to Brazil. I would take you to Venezuela. I would take you to Argentina right now, where it's considered
Nicaragua.
now a luxury to have a red meat.
Yeah.
That I just saw this the other day. Argentina is saying it's luxury to have red meat because of the inflation and everything. Yeah. So it sees there. It works for the people on the top. They are not in trouble. But down here, it's where the people lives, and the socialism. The idea, it's Brazil is connected with Cuba, and they have a thing they call there's a São Paulo meeting that all those president comes and they talk about how they we unite South America
Yeah.
against
The leftist
capitalism.
presidents.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna fight. And it's funny because they were all wearing Adidas and fighting against capitalism. And I'm like, all flying in the private jet,
Yeah,
and it was like,
yeah.
okay, we don't like capitalism, you know.
But
I have the iPhone 15.
I love my iPhone. I was
yeah,
just
I
gonna
love
say.
those things. But it is like it. But at the same time, down the level, it's like it it makes in a way that the poor people it believes they are doing good.
Yeah,
You know, it's like what one of the things they did was lower the poverty line.
yeah,
So it's like instead of raise the people, they lower the number. So you're not considered poor, but
yeah,
it's like you're barely
yeah,
surviving. But
yeah.
the thing that makes the the people okay is because um, we are almost like community. Like my mom is a widow. She lives out of I think is a $250 a month.
Like
There,
like Social
the Social
Security.
Security
Yeah,
that she got
$250 a month.
$250 a month, considering dollar. And then, but so she would pay. I remember she would pay like $100 or just a little bit of 100. I'm converting to dollar.
Yeah,
Their rent. So, and then her money would go all the way to half of the month, let's say. But why she's not struggling the worst? Because she has her brothers and
a
sisters.
network of
They live
community.
together.
Yeah,
Yeah, they all bring the food they need together. It's not everybody like this, but there's probably like 20-30% of Brazil that lives like this. So it is if we were an independent country, like in the feeling like you live your life, I live my life, I think the struggle would be worse.
yeah,
But it's because it's just warm, the family orientated.
yeah.
So nobody struggles.
Huh.
We share, yeah.
Yeah. And it's ironic, isn't it? That Brazil is a country just absolutely full of natural resources.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's just amazing in wealth.
If
Venezuela is another good example. Unbelievable natural resources.
yeah,
And,
I remember
and yet,
friends that were missionary in Amazon. They would say, then we used to go to Venezuela for vacation. They were the number one country in South America in resources, but
Yeah.
they were the richest in South America.
yeah.
And now it's like
Yeah,
struggling.
it's a
yeah.
disaster. I've been to Venezuela several times myself too, and just the same thing. Years ago in the '80s, it was a beautiful, clean, well-run country. We're gonna have to finish up here, but this next week, part of Daniel's part of your job description or part of your
Yeah.
job here is you help head up family ministries, South Campus pastor. But you guys are doing a missions trip again, right? This coming week. Tell us a little bit about that.
So we're going to Mexico, Ensenada, with
Okay.
42 people from our church.
Yeah.
18 high school, and the rest is 18 adult,
Yeah.
and the rest is high school kids.
So kind of a family.
Yeah, it's a multi-generational
Yeah.
mission trip. We love this. It works very well. So we're going to go down. We're going to be at the YWAM in Ensenada, and we're going to do ministry, and we're going to build 3 houses. We are raising money to build 3 houses. We're very close. I think we're $3,000 short to have the money for the 3 house.
How much is each house?
And $15,000 each house with furniture, and we water tank and the electric pole. So it is so amazing we build it like in 3 days with. There's 2 things happen. I think it's the physical blessing, like I start saying.
Because this house is going to a needy family.
There's a needy family.
We just had last week on our program here, we had Yuri, and he had just gotten back from Ukraine with a team that did a very similar thing. They did the physical building of homes for people that were obviously in need.
So we already get it, who's the 3 family. So the families are leaving. Their families are 4. They are leaving, and one of them is living in the old van. They turned the old van into a bedroom. And they build like a kind of like a square with plywood, like to be the kitchen and the living room. So it is beyond like what human dignity could call the way they live.
Yeah.
No running water, no electricity. So that we're gonna build a house for them, and then we build the house. There would be like bedroom for the parents. There would be for the kids, and the kitchen, furnace. The furniture is there. So, and then we also do a ministry, go and visit like safe house for kids.
Yeah.
And but it happens to, I was the other day even teaching about this idea. We are all made in the image of God. And when we act like in the image of God, we bring like justice in the sense of, looking to this family living in a cardboard, like the plywood box, and it's like they were also made in the image of God, and the way they are living, it is not representing
Yeah.
God for them.
Yeah. That's a distorted image.
Yeah. So building the house for them, it's showing like, there's a God who cares. And then because God cares, this is the house. This house probably will not last 50 years.
Right. It's a very simple
Yeah.
thing.
But at the same time, their view of God or their relationship with God. And we also, like last year, we were building this house, and we were sharing the gospel to the family. At the end, the family accepted Jesus. And at the same time, YWAM Ensenada has a program that they do a year after of discipleship.
Yeah.
So it's not just like, here's
follow-up.
your house key,
Yeah.
and then God bless you. They do a contract that they're gonna follow the discipleship.
Yeah.
So it blesses them there, and also the 42 people who goes.
Yeah.
It was also not just a blessing for them, but it's a change of perspective of God. God needs to take us and move us and align us to His plans, so that this helps us to think different. When I love that Paul said the gospel of Jesus Christ, He's aligned the people. It's like, hey, you can have your gospel. You think, oh, God loves me. He cares for me. He loves me.
Yeah.
Everything's for me.
Yeah. He loves my politics. He
Love
loves my whatever.
my
Yeah.
money, my
Yeah.
thing. But then there's the gospel of Jesus Christ, where it's like, hey, do you want to be the number one in the kingdom? You will be the one that serves. Who wants to be the first, who's the serve. If you want, if you walk 1 mile, walk the second mile. So it is a different perspective if you think about. Then those mission trip, I believe, is God realign us.
Yeah.
And then say, look, I care for the poor.
Yeah.
I care for the needy. I love the people that society says, you don't deserve, and also God speaks to us of gratitude.
Yeah.
God speaks to us like, there's a everlasting kingdom. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That
I'm
it
part of
changes.
a bigger.
Yeah.
I think that's what we heard last week when Yuri was here as well, and the Ukraine team. And I think it's any team, basically, is when you step outside your comfort zone, right? And when you go somewhere to be a blessing to people, to be the hands and feet of Jesus, whether that's the practical building of a house or the sharing of the gospel or loving a guy on the street, you're being exposed to the heart of God.
Yeah.
And that's life changing if your heart is open to that. And
Yeah.
you kind of get stretched. I
Yeah.
heard someone describe it. Your heart gets bigger, enlarged,
Yeah.
and it shouldn't go back. It
Yeah.
doesn't go back to its original shape.
Yeah, I heard one missionary once say, the 12 people who walked closer to God, it was the disciples. They walked with Jesus. Jesus was God. They walked with Him, and one of the first things they did when they were in charge, they took care of the poor.
Yeah.
That was one of the first thing the disciples did. They were like, we're going to, in the book of Acts, you see, they manage this. We're taking care of the poor. And even like to take care of the poor, to serve food, it was amazing. They have to be filled with the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
It's like, it wasn't like, oh, you don't do anything in the gospel. You don't know how to preach. Here, come, give this plate of food for people.
Yeah.
They were like, no, you have to be qualified spiritually and also your character.
That's
to
so
do
interesting
this.
because the gospel that has saved us, the gospel that has saved our lives, wasn't born in a Western wealthy culture. It was
Yeah.
born in a poor,
And
oppressed,
yeah.
marginalized culture,
Yeah.
and yet it's been around for 2,000 years, and
2,000
it
years,
stood the test of time. So,
Oh man.
yeah. Well, it's been great. Yeah, if you're interested in knowing more about it, these guys are leaving next Friday.
Yeah.
Well, when you're watching this, it'll be the week you're watching, and we'll hear a report when
Yeah.
you guys get back. Taking those 40-some people to another country, you're still doing what you've always done. So
Yeah. It'd be
now it's other people's kids. That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure to have you. And if this is a blessing to you, or you think somebody else might enjoy listening, pass it along. And if there's anything we can do for you in the way of prayer, you'd like to talk to a pastor, just reach out. You can find us on our website, cothcommunity.com. Thanks to our tech guy, Ethan, who's always here, faithfully recording and editing and putting out a quality product. And have a great summer. It's still here. Enjoy it.